You know, there are a few things I love in this world, but what I do love is the Rocky movies and the Creed movies. And today, I'm ranking them sons of bitches for you. Drago! This is going to be a difficult task for me because I'm going to rank every single one of these Rocky films. I've grown up with them. I've seen them a billion times, and I've appreciated some of these films more as I got older. So it's appropriate that I'm doing it now as an adult versus a young dumbass who didn't know shit about life. So I'm going to rank them collectively, so to speak. I'm going to throw in the Creed movies into the rankings, and here we go. Lord help us. And coming in dead last is Rocky V. Sylvester Stallone has admitted himself that he regretted doing this film and he did it only for the money. And it shows. The film does not feel like any of the other Rocky films. And it doesn't make sense seeing it as an adult. Like when Rocky loses all of his money, you find out why Paulie had power of attorney. Why would Paulie have power of attorney to sign everything over to some crooked lawyer? I don't know why or how that works. I thought I was doing good business.
He gave power of attorney to our accountant.
But yeah, that's not how real life works, especially if you have an estate like Rocky. I don't see how Adrian or Rocky would allow Paulie to have the power of the pen to sign over the entire state of Balboa to a crooked lawyer. So aside, you know, it's funny. With all the problems Rocky V has, that's the one gripe I have. Not Tommy Gunn. The fact that there's no fight in the ring, all that can just go to hell. It's the fact that Paulie had power of attorney to sign Rocky's fortune away. That's my problem with number 5. But aside from that, again, it feels like a forced movie. I mean, it even compelled Stallone to make Rocky Balboa a few years later, which in my opinion was the superior ending of the Rocky films, so to speak. But Rocky V, again, just feels very misplaced. The music, it's a very 90s film if you think about it, with some of the music they've added to it. And it, again, from the narrative standpoint, from a theme standpoint, it does not feel whatsoever like a Rocky film. So Rocky V, you know, for what it's worth, it's still an okay movie, but it's dead last. Coming in at number 8 is Creed 3. Now, this film may grow on me as the years go on, but for right now, it feels odd to me to watch a Rocky movie with a Rocky template, the Rocky spirit, the Rocky DNA, characters who were birthed in the Rocky universe, but not see Rocky. Only hear him just through a mention, no pictures on the wall, no nothing. So it still feels odd to me that Stallone is not in it. And I hope they clarify that and get all that fixed before they make a Creed 4. But having said all that, it's still a great film. It's a great story for Adonis and, you know, looking into his past. Again, the Rocky template is all there, right? It's there for everybody to see. You feel it, but I just didn't feel it myself. So again, some of the liberties they took as far as the final fight, having more of a visualization of trauma and just kind of muting the crowd was completely different. It wasn't like the Rocky films that we usually get the first 3 rounds that were filmed, and then there's a montage from rounds 4 through 10, and then there's a final round. We didn't get that template, which I love, but it was a unique artistic approach, which I appreciate. I'm not saying it's bad, but for me, it didn't sit well with me, even though I did love it. So Creed 3, again, an amazing directorial debut for Michael B. Jordan. Applaud him. Jonathan Majors, hell yes. But it's going to sit at number 8. Number 7 is Creed 2. Now, Creed 2 is a natural progression from the Creed storyline. It only makes sense. Hey, Drago killed your dad. Now his son and dad are back. You know, let's motivate this character to go and fight for his father's name and his honor and kind of push that narrative. It only made sense. As a matter of fact, when Creed 1 ended, I thought that was a natural sequel. It made complete sense for the character of Adonis. But there was a lot of remember berries and a lot of nostalgic feels seeing Drago and Rocky in the same screen in the ring facing off together. But again, they're in the background. In the foreground, we have, you know, their offspring, so to speak, battling. So it's like 30 years later, that rivalry is still going on. I did like seeing the Drago character. As a matter of fact, while doing my Creed review, and you can see it there if you want, while doing my Creed review, I found out they're going to do a spin-off series for a Creed story. I don't know whether it's going to be a movie or a TV show. I don't know, but I'm kind of curious about that. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I love, for the first time in all the Rocky movies, I'm not kidding when I say this, Creed 2 was the very first time that I actually rooted for the opponent to win. There was a short, brief moment in that final fight where Drago's son is just getting beaten all to hell. And you see the concern in Drago's face from a father standpoint. It's a very emotional moment. You see Rocky's like, what are you going to do? For a moment, I was hoping that Drago would win or stop the fight. And eventually he did. But I felt some great sympathy for the antagonist in this film. And I've never felt that before. So even putting Creed 2 at the, in the 7 placing, I think it would go higher if there wasn't a whole lot of nostalgic feels for the other films. But I'm going to stick with that. So Creed 2 is my number 7. Number 6 is Rocky 3. Rocky 3 is the most 80s bullshit of all these movies. You can tell like it was made with pure cocaine. That was all the set. Even the sound, even the guys who did the sound effects for the film, every time Clubber Lang swung, it sounded like a freaking hurricane. It's like, come on, we get the punches are powerful, but again, it's the 80s and everything is just amplified to like 11. It only goes up to 10. No, this one goes to 11. So it was really just over the top from even the movie starting off with Rocky fighting Thunderlips, which is hilarious. Hulk Hogan was at the peak of his game. He was new to the wrestling world, and just having that whole fiasco and the sound effects as well, it was pretty silly. But this movie, I do love this movie for one moment. And I've always said this, even on the Rude Advice channel, I've always said behind a good man is a good woman. And I love how Stallone in the Rocky films, it's pretty much known that if Adrian wasn't in Rocky's life, there would never have been a Rocky Balboa. There would never have been a champion. And I love in this when in Rocky 3, when Rocky is just doubting himself, he doubts everything he's done because after the Apollo fight, Mick says, you should have been killed. We're trying to take care of you. And he set up all these easy fights. And Rocky thought he was just the greatest fighter in the world, but these were just fights to take care of his health and prolong his championship reign. And to find out that they were fixed, it really affected Stallone's confidence. Hence, he lost to Clubber Lang. But I love the scene on the beach where he's just kind of moping along and Creed's like, what's the matter with you? It's over. It's over. And then Adrian slowly walks to Rocky on that beach scene. And as a man who can relate to Rocky, we've all been there. Like, hey, we've all been scared. We've all doubted ourselves. But to have a woman come into your life and have a woman that's strong and wonderful as Adrian to just call him out on his bullshit and tell it like it is, like what's going on here. That whole exchange, I think, is the most beautiful moment to showcase what Adrian meant to Rocky. And why am I getting emotional talking about that? I don't know. But if Rocky 3, aside from all its, exaggerated sounds and, storyline, that vulnerable moment was Stallone, Balboa, doubting himself and having his wife lift him up. It's beautiful. I better write this down. I'm already kind of losing track of my train of thought here. Hold on. This is what happens when you get old. You lose your memory. Coming in at number 5 is Creed. Yes, Creed. And again, I've said this many times, and I will say it again if this is the first time you watching any of my videos. Creed is the perfect example on how to do a soft reboot or relaunch of a franchise. Soft reboot, whatever the hell you want to call it. This is how you do it. Not like that Ghostbusters bullshit that we had in 2016. What you do is you honor what was done before you. You honor the characters. You respect the story. You respect what's been built, and you build upon that. And Creed is the template, the mold, the model, the prime of what you should do when you're rebooting a franchise. And again, it was so wonderful to see Stallone, again, Balboa, in a mentor sort of role. We know he's lost Adrian. He's going about his life. He's kind of alone. And to have Adonis come in with not having a family, but then, Creed's wife, former wife, and now Felicia Rashad is kind of mentoring him. And he's just got a limited family. And just having that family unit that Adonis has not had ever in his life to fulfill Rocky's family need, which he's had a family, but he's lost everything. And he's alone. To see two people at two polar ends of life coming together, that they need each other and they're helping each other find life and who they are. It's fucking beautiful. And Stallone again was nominated for a Academy Award, which he should have won in my opinion. But I love Rocky so much, and just to see that one scene where he finds out he's sick, and he's more or less just saying that, you know what, if I told myself everybody's gone, and if I ever get sick or something gets hurt, I'm not going to fix it because I want to go with them. It breaks my heart, and I'm getting emotional just thinking about that scene. But just to kind of see Rocky at that end of life, but when you see Rocky 2, 3, and 4, you see him surrounded by those he loves. It's kind of heartbreaking for me at times to see that. But again, just to see these two characters and Rocky now mentoring the son of the man who more or less gave him the opportunity to become who he is. It's a beautiful story, and it's done perfectly well. It uses a Rocky template without, depending on it. And I absolutely love Creed. I watch it at least once a year. It's an amazing film, and it's part of my workout soundtrack. So Creed is at number 5. Now, number 4 is Rocky 4. Now, believe it or not, that's also my workout soundtrack. Hearts on Fire and the burning heart, is about to crash. It's a quest for answers. Okay, stop it. But Rocky 4 is an amazing film. It's also really heavy in the 80s nostalgia when it comes to the tone. It's more or less a 90-minute rock video for MTV, and it's also the only film in the Rocky catalog that doesn't have the Rocky theme in it, which in this case, I don't mind to this day, but it's got a wonderful soundtrack. It's fun, and again, it's fast. And what I do like, believe it or not, I recently saw the Stallone cut, the re-edit of Rocky 4, 2 years ago, last year when it came out. I didn't like it, but I saw it again recently with my son. And you know what? I actually prefer the director's cut of Rocky 4 versus the theatrical release. I like how you got rid of that Church's Chicken commercial. That's one thing. But I love in the director's cut how he took the tone. It was more of a serious approach. I love how we got to hear Drago kind of speak his mind, and now you kind of understand Drago's motivations, especially when he says, I fight for me, I fight for me. That line makes more sense with the director's cut when you see that the Soviet Union was more or less stripping Drago's identity, and it was just the embodiment of the Soviet Union is what Drago was supposed to be, but Drago was an individual. So I do like how we got that perspective in this film. I also like how we found out more of Apollo Creed's motivation to fight the Russian. It wasn't just a warrior feeling that he was, not important anymore, but it was also politically motivated, and we had more time with Apollo with that scene. And also, Apollo is not slaughtered like the theatrical release. Drago just wails on him and kills him immediately in the original, but in the director's cut, Apollo fights back. There's more of a fight in that fight, so it's not just a slaughter. So I do appreciate that. And there's also more time with Adrian. The soundtrack's better. So again, the tone of Rocky 4, the director's cut is far superior, in my opinion, than the original theatrical cut. So again, I love it for what it is. It's a testament of its time. It's the Cold War, East versus West, at the height of the 80s. I was alive during that time. I remember we always thought there were going to be nuclear missiles flying in the air any moment now. There was Red Dawn. There was the other Stallone movie with Belushi. Raw Deal? No, I forget it. Never mind. But I'll put it here. But yes, it's a total testament of the 80s. If you want to work out or you need the motivation to work out, you just put in the training montage of Stallone working out in a freaking cabin. And if that doesn't motivate you to get to the gym, then I don't know what is. So Rocky 4 is at number 4.
The exam's in 3 hours.
Oh, crap. All we've done is work out.
Okay, we're at the top 3. If you haven't done so already and you're still watching at this point, please subscribe to my channel. Put some comments down below. Which one is your favorite Rocky? Which is the worst? Which Rocky movie do you have on your soundtrack, your workout soundtrack? Because I know if you're a dude, and I know you're dudes out there watching this, you have to have some Rocky song on your workout mix. I got a whole bunch of them. Let me know which ones you have on your mix. Now back to number 3. Now number 3 is Rocky Balboa. This one, I cried like a baby in the theaters because, again, I love Rocky. And here we are seeing him so many years down the road. Adrian's gone. The love of his life's gone. It's just him and Paulie. He doesn't have a strong relationship with his son. And it's the tone of the movie. The whole moral of the movie is that, hey, it's never too late to fight for what you want. If you're old or whatever you're looking for, if there was ever a what if that you never achieved, it's never too late is the theme of the movie. I love how the film realistically portrays how an older man could be competitive in a fight with someone who was 30, 40 years younger than he is. I believe the one boxer breaks his forearm, so that's how it evens out the fight. But the whole story of just Rocky trying to find some sort of relationship with his son, him being alone and just not knowing who he is anymore, it's very powerful. And I love the scene, of course, the speech. I have it memorized, believe it or not, about life is not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. The whole speech I have, and I play it about once a month or once a week when I need my own ass to be kicked. It's a powerful speech, and Stallone, again, just kind of showcases the brilliant writer that he is at times. But Rocky Balboa is an amazing film and a great conclusion, in my opinion, to the Rocky character. You know, there's that scene where Rocky puts the rose on Adrian's tomb, and he's like, yo, Adrian, we did it. And he kind of walks away, and he fades off into the background. It's a beautiful ending for the Rocky story compared to what Rocky V was supposed to do in the mid-90s. Oh, man, that movie cheers me up all the time. I always cry that once. I cry all the time in that movie, but I especially cry. And oh, my God, that one scene, I always cry when Rocky's in the meat locker room with Paulie, and he's telling Paulie, I have this beast inside me, and life, I didn't know it was supposed to be hard. I'm like, yeah, why am I getting emotional? Stop being emotional, Rudy. But life is hard the older you get, man. It's crazy. So I can relate to freaking Rocky in that scene. So, I just love that character so much. I just hate seeing him cry. That was number 3. Coming at number 2 is Rocky 2. Rocky 2, again, is one of those films where I didn't appreciate the films when I was a kid, but I did when I was older. It's funny because I always, whenever Rocky movies would come on, I go, I don't want to see the old ones. I want to see the Mr. T ones or the Drago ones. Those are the ones that I thought were cool. The original one and the second one were like too old for me to understand. They were too slow, in my opinion. But Rocky 2 I love the story how you have a boxer who had a title shot. He actually went the distance with Apollo. He's injured beyond reason. You know, he's got permanent damage as far as blindness goes, and he's kind of enjoying this win. He did what he wanted. He wanted to go the distance, and that's all he ever wanted. He never wanted a rematch. He wanted to provide a life to Adrian and give her the life she wanted, have a kid and get married and all those other things. So I love how it's just from his mindset, he's moving on with life. But again, it's the ego of the champion who's beckoning him to come back and fight him for a real match. You know, you got lucky last time, Punk, and you're going to get the real me. So I love how it's really just Rocky's really conflict of just moving on with life and then finding out that he ultimately can't escape who he is. And what he's made to do. He's a fighter, and fighters fight. And I love how, again, just like all the films, he can't do it without Adrian, because if he doesn't have Adrian's approval, he's not going to give it his all. And I love how that one scene, which again tears me up, is when she's in that coma and she wakes up and she says, there's only one thing I want you to do, is a win. Ding. What are we waiting for? Here, hold this. And then
Take this.
That whole training montage is just, I want to go hit the gym after this video. But again, I get teary-eyed. Again, if you notice, I cry if you notice, I'm cry with every one of these damn movies, but I especially get really emotional because, again, he goes, this is the greatest night of my life. Aside from my kid being born, you know, yo, Adrian, I did it. I get teary-eyed. It's emotional. I just love it. I've seen it countless times, but it still hits me. It's a powerful moment. It's a vulnerable moment for a guy who is now a champion. So Rocky 2 is my number 2. And for my number 1 is pretty obvious, Rocky, the original, the one that started it all, the one that gave Stallone a career in writing and directing. And it's an amazing film, and it holds up to this day. Rocky has been known to be the greatest protagonist, has been called the greatest protagonist of all the film, and I guess anybody can relate to him. I don't care what color you are, who you are, man or woman, everybody can relate to Rocky, especially with this one. He's been a loser, quote unquote, his whole life. That's how he depicts himself. He's a bum. You have a mentor and a coach who's kind of said, no, you had your chance, but you're too reckless and doing stupid shit. So you have somebody who's pretty much past their prime. He still feels he's got something to offer. The world's giving up on him, but yet he gets this opportunity from Apollo Creed. Through happenstance, it just so he happens to get a chance to fight for the heavyweight title of the world on the 4th of July. Apollo Creed versus the Italian Stallion. Damn thing sounds like a monster movie. I love that scene, but yes, it's a cool movie because, again, he thought he was a loser. He thought he had nothing to offer the world. He didn't really think highly of himself. All he wanted to do is go the distance with Apollo Creed, because no one's ever gone the distance, and he wanted to be the first. That was his motivation. He didn't think he could beat him. He just wanted to go the distance. And the fact that he did that It's a beautiful thing. And I love the direction of the fight. I love how he gets a quick knockdown on Apollo early on. But again, it's very powerful at the end because he finally made it. He doesn't care about, you know, who Rocky. What are your thoughts, Rocky? No, all he cares is about is Adrian. And that whole scene. God damn it. Why am I getting emotional? When she says, I love you. And he's like, I love you. God damn it. If you wonder why I get emotional, it's funny because I was never this emotional when I was younger. It's funny when you hit your mid-40s, I guess you look back on life and you just appreciate things more. And you recognize things for what they are. And moments like that are what matter in life, you know, and I love feeling that moment in those films and in real life. And again, those Rocky movies, every one of these Rocky movies are so human. Anybody can relate to them. And I think that's why they're timeless. Everybody loves them because they see themselves as Rocky. We all have adversity. We've all, you know, have that moment where we want to give up and quit. But there's that little voice, whether it be Mick, get up, you son of a bitch, you know, or like one more round, you know, it doesn't matter. We all have that fight in us.
He's cut! He's cut! Russian's cut!
And I think that's what makes these films so amazing and wonderful. And those are my rankings for the Rocky films. And I hope you enjoyed this emotional roller coaster rankings. I enjoyed it. This was fun. These are close to my heart, every single one of them. I enjoy. There's not one bad one, in my opinion. Yeah, I know I'm picking on 5, but they're all great films. And again, I hope you enjoyed this ranking. And those are my rankings for the Rocky films. I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Let me know what your rankings are down below in the comments. I would really like to hear from you. And again, from Gen X Reviews, have a good day.